Thank you everyone for joining the last talk on exploratory testing. Any guesses when was the term exploratory testing first coined? 1900. Oh no, not so early. Come in front, there are some empty chairs. 2000s? Little early than that. 1980s. 80s. It was coined the same year I was born. Yes, 1985. 1985 was the first time the term exploratory testing was coined by Dr. Kem Kainer. And from then on till now, there have been multiple talks in the meetups, in the conferences, the workshops, and still people, when you ask them what is exploratory testing, they say monkey testing, right? So at least after this talk, we will hope that people understand what's exploratory testing and then don't equate it to monkey testing or ad hoc testing, okay? So they have given me 45 minutes and so out of which 5 minutes is gone. I hope for more discussions. Ask whatever you think, you don't know about exploratory testing. You have questions on exploratory testing, please feel free to ask. For the simple reason that by being here, you are giving me a part of your life. Don't trust me, then check this. This second is gone. It will not come back. So thank you once again for giving me part of your life, and let's make the best use of this time. So I am Ajay Balamurugadas, and I have learned about exploratory testing from Pradeep Soundarajan, who is giving a talk in the next hall, from James Bach, Michael Bolton, Matt Heuser, and many others. And I did attend the black box software testing course by Dr. Kem Kainer, which is an intense 4-week course, online course, way back in 2007-8 time frame. And the lessons still apply. And that's the beauty and the sad part of it, that those lessons are applicable even today. At that time, we were testing desktop applications, then slowly mobile came, and then web came, or rather first web came and then mobile came, and then now IoT you mentioned, and then AI, ML, all of it, the fundamentals remain the same. So let's see what is exploratory testing. Is it possible to switch off this light and maybe have those on so that it is even more clear? Yes, correct. And it's all about experiments. We humans are very good in this, but somehow when we get in front of a computer, we need help. We know the answer, but we still need help. So what happened in the last, say, 1 minute? Someone volunteered, right? Someone maybe asked someone, and someone said, okay, let me try it out. This is, hi. The one right on the slide, these three. Okay, and then we got the domain expert, right? So people say, oh, only those who know the domain can test. Otherwise, you need test cases. Not really. As long as you're good at asking questions, you'll do a great job. Can I prove it? You want proof? Suppose there is a pagination feature, which all of us are aware. It will show first page and then a left arrow and then 2, 3 and then right arrows. What can go wrong in that feature? What can go wrong? for a page that has 100 records, but it is displaying 10 records, what all can go wrong with respect to the pagination feature? You click and it doesn't take you to the page, respective page. One step behind that, one step before that, what could be? You don't see the numbers at all, okay? Now, you can also come up with even more issues. You click and it takes to the wrong page. You click, it takes, and then gets you back to the current page. You click and then the whole page flickers. There are so many issues. With this mindset, can you go approach any feature which has pagination and go ahead and find bugs? Or will you say, I need requirement documents? Requirement documents will help. At the same time, we already know the answer. It's just that we don't try to apply it most of the times. So this definition, what is exploratory testing? This is on Kim Kainer's website. He says, it is a style of software testing that emphasizes the personal freedom and responsibility of the individual tester. It doesn't highlight about the script. It doesn't highlight about any document. It says a style of testing that emphasizes the personal freedom. As a tester, I am able to choose what test I will run now, how I will run now. And with that freedom, what you want to do? You want to continuously optimize the value of your work. Right now, what is the best test that I should do? Right now, what is the best test that will add value? Okay, so you decide. How do you do that? By treating learning, test design, execution, and test result interpretation. Now let me simplify that a bit. Test design is what I would say the public calls as writing test cases. Test execution is when you execute the test cases, and test result interpretation is it pass, fail, blocked, should I be happy, sad, and all that stuff. And while you're doing all of this, you learn more about the product. So in exploratory testing, all of these happen as mutually supported activities. It is not stage by stage, not waterfallish, not even agile. It is agile in the true sense. What is required now, that happens. So, say this is the product, you pick it up, you realize that, oh, it is heavy, you need 2 hands, and then you realize, oh, the cup is not empty, so you're learning, and then you say, oh, maybe I should sit. You design your test carefully. And if you need help, you ask. So all of this happens in parallel. It's not like you first write the script, take the bottle in your left hand, evaluate if you are able to take it in one hand or else use 2 hands. Okay, step 3. Step 3, open the cap. Step 4, pour water in the cup. Oh, the cup was not empty. Oh, sorry, let me repeat step 1. Right? That's mostly a scripted approach where the script decides what you do next. Whereas if you as a tester decide what to do next, you are in control of the entire testing, and that's exploratory testing. So what is exploratory testing? It is a style of software testing that emphasizes the personal freedom and responsibility of the individual tester to continuously optimize their work so that they can add value. How do they do that? By treating learning, test design, execution, and interpretation as mutually supported activities. Any of these activities can happen at any point of time. Okay, so say for example, you execute a test, you find an issue, and you feel test number 14, right now you are at test number 2, test number 14 will make more sense now. And you decide to jump from test number 2 to test number 14. You decided. Okay, that's exploratory testing. If your next test is influenced by the learning from the previous test, you are following an exploratory testing approach. If the script decides what you need to do next, you are following a scripted approach. The interviews, if I ask you what's your name, what was your last job, what are you here for, and are you married, do you have kids, and all of that, versus I ask you, okay, do you have kids, and you say no or yes, and then I ask, are you married? It doesn't make much sense, right? Yes. Here.
You were saying about writing, doing the test design simultaneously with the execution. So how you are doing or optimizing that? But you are saying that you will be switching from test 14 to test website. So how you decide that?
Right. So that is where so his question was, how do you decide you switch from test 2 to test 14, correct? So we use documents as a guide, not as a rule book. So there's a difference. Rule book says do 1, 2, 3, 4, 14. Guide says, see, you can do all of these. If you find even more interesting tests, do those, right? So when you don't jump on test 1 even before you see all the tests that are documented maybe. So that you have a knowledge of, okay, what else is there? What else can I test? So let's see, we'll also have a small demo as well. And to highlight the difference between exploratory and scripted testing, say this is team 1, you need to write down 5 questions to guess the number that I have in my mind. And I will answer only after I hear out all the 5 questions. And team 2, as your lesson number, I'll give you the easier one, the exploratory approach. You need to ask me only one question. Based on your answer, based on my answer, you can ask the next question. And we'll see who hits the number, okay? So let me So I have decided the numbers for both the teams. So team number 1, give me your 5 questions. I will answer not just in yes and no, but I'll give the full answer. Don't ask me what's the number. Yeah. What's your first question?
What is the range of numbers that you have guessed?
Okay. Range of numbers. Okay, what else? What's the second question? Single digit or 2? Single or double digit. Okay, next. Sorry, I missed. Positive or negative. Yeah, what was your question? Yeah, okay, how many digits? Okay. So I take it as question number 4. Okay, next, 5th question and the last. So is it a prime number or a composite number? Yeah. Okay. Team, okay, you want answers now? Okay, all the best. Range of numbers, it's between 0 to 100. Single or double, it is double digit. Number of digits, 2. Positive or negative, positive. Prime or composite, composite. Very easy. 0 to 100 is the range. Double digit. That's 2. Positive. And it is a composite number. Go ahead. You wrote all the test cases. Okay, while you think, team 2, What's your first question? Yes?
What's the number?
Good question. I'll not answer that. Try one more question.
Your favorite number?
My favorite number is 5.
Is it greater than 50?
Greater than 50. Good question. See, my hands are behind. No. So let me write down the first question was, yeah, maybe an invalid. So all the team members on this side, they'll say, yeah, that's why we need to write test cases and all of that. Let's ignore that. Invalid. Second question was favorite number is 5. Third question was, is it less than 50? Yes. Two questions, think carefully, work as a team, and then come up with those questions. This is why this team will say exploratory testing takes time.
Is it greater than 40?
Greater than 40, yes.
44?
44, no. Okay, you're done with 5 questions.
That was not a question, that was answer.
Okay, so both of you have not hit the number, but that's childish to compare that, hey, both of us did not hit the number. The deeper learning is who knows more about the number now? Team 2? Exploratory testing, right? How much do you know from this? Not much. They exactly know that it's 7 or 8 numbers, because they also removed one number. Now the point of this exercise is not to get to the number, which by the way was 44 for you and 49 for you. Okay. The point is they were continuously learning and applying the learning in the next test. When do we know the least about the project? Start, middle, end. Start. When do we write the most about the test cases and documentation? Start. If I call my son also, he will say, when you know the least, why do you write the most? But scripted approach says, where are your test cases? Have they been reviewed? Have they been signed off? Have you touched the product? No, we were busy writing the test cases. So what are the skills that are needed for exploratory testing? This is beautifully put up by John Bach, brother of James Bach, whose name many people call as James Bach. It's James Bach. It's modeling, resourcing, questioning. Modeling is how do you put the whole product into another form, a simpler form to understand. Either a mind map, either your notes, right? Resourcing is how resourceful are you? If you need something, can you get it for the project? Questioning, asking the right questions. Chartering, where we need to go, what we need to do, a plan. Observing, manipulating, pairing with other stakeholders. Then generating test ideas, then refocusing, hey, we are going off the track, let's come back on track. Alternating, doing bug investigation, then doing maybe bug reporting, then maybe doing testing, then maybe doing documentation, alternating between activities. Then recording, reporting, and all of that. So exploratory testing is a mindset using this skill set. Okay. So how do I test? I start with context-free questions by Michael Bolton. What are those? They fall into these categories. First, you ask questions about, do you have permission to ask questions? Once I get that permission, if I don't get, my answer is, hey, please help me help you. And hence I need to ask you questions. Then I ask about clients, the mission. Why am I testing? If you don't know why are you testing, if you can write test cases, if the process you follow is the same for every project, if you do without even knowing the context, then you're kind of following a scripted approach. Then I ask questions about the product, the reports. When do you want the reports? How do you want the testing reports? How much time do I have? Then about the data. How does the data flow in, flow out? The oracles. How do I know that I have found a problem? If I don't know what is a problem in this project, then the problems might be in front of me and I'll still not be able to find them. So it's a good idea to find out about the oracles. Then thinking. Am I thinking in the right direction? Not thinking. Clarify that. Who are the testers? Who are the experts? Who are the developers? Then the feelings about the project from the different stakeholders. What information do we already have? What should I avoid doing? What are the equipment, tools? So this is one part of the questionnaire. The other is here, the 5W and 1H, the critical thinking checklist, as in who benefits from this, who is this harmful to, who deserves recognition for this, all those questions. Now you might ask, why don't you just go ahead and test it? Why do you ask so many questions? If I don't know where this feature or how this feature will impact the users, who are the users, then I might be doing hundreds of tests. But I don't have time for those many. I have time for maybe 10. So I need to pick my tests very carefully. Right? So any project, it starts with questions. Then I start modeling the product. So this is from the HTSM, Heuristic Test Strategy Model by James Bach. He says, focus on the project environment, product elements, quality criteria, the different test techniques, and then you come up with the testing and quality story of how and why it's important. So how do you model? Use the product. Don't just sit on a different chair and keep looking at the bottle. Use it. Then you will realize how difficult it is to open it. Right? So you need to use the product. When you use the product, pay attention to how the product is behaving. What are the variables? How are they interacting with each other? How is the data flowing? Learn about the architecture, ask questions, right? When you do all of that, and you might not know everything, that is okay. It is okay to not know something, but you need not stop there. You can highlight that. You highlight the unknowns. And then you come up with the testing ideas. While you're testing itself, you can come up with new ideas, or you can have a checklist of ideas beforehand. So those checklists, again, is not like a rule book to be followed. It's just a checklist to help you. You can add, remove items from that later as well. Okay. So understand the use case of the feature, as in why that feature is there. Is the problem solved by this feature? If the problem is not solved, then your feature is useless. Then test for the known constraints. In terms of the document may say, hey, don't do this. Not more than 30 characters. So test for those. Think about the users. Do validate the field validations. Take help of different heuristics. Mapping out the feature interaction. Oh, feature A needs the third option in feature C to work. What usually happens? There are 10 features, 5 testers, give 2 features to each and say go ahead and test. And then each one reports a bug. The third option in feature A is not working. Feature C tester says, I don't know why this feature is there. But then when you work together, you know that, okay, they are interrelated. So that mapping needs to happen together. Everyone needs to sit together and talk, not divide and work. And then probable bugs. List out the probable bugs and then check if those probable bugs are there in that product or not. That's a secret. Many people take the product, hunt for bugs. I tell you, have a list of bugs in your mind on the checklist somewhere and then check if those bugs are there in that product or not. Very fast. Of course, look in the code, database, logs, and think of other quality criteria as well. So, with all of this, go ahead and test. Review your work and then repeat. Okay? What are the myths around exploratory testing? No test cases are written or used in exploratory testing. Not really. You can have test cases, you decide when to execute which test case. That's fine. You're still doing exploratory testing. Only experienced testers can perform exploratory testing. Not really. Have you seen kids play? They don't need manual. They'll figure out about the toy much faster and in depth than you. Why is that? They use, they try, they learn, they change, they experiment, and then they don't give up. They repeat. Right? And then they observe that, oh, okay, if we do this, then this happens. Yeah? There is no structure in exploratory testing. Those who are not able to explain their testing story believe this myth. Because you pick 100 testers, 100 random testers and ask, what did you do in the last 1 hour while you were testing? They'll say, I tested. If you report your testing work in 2 sentences, of course no one will believe you. And hence they need test cases, more documents, more reports and all of that. But if you are able to explain your testing, hey, this is how I configured the product. This is how I operated. These are the things that I observed. And this is how I evaluated. The 4 components of a test: configuration, operation, observation, and evaluation. So then you say, here is my recording of the testing with voice commentary. Here is the test data that I used. Here are the bugs. Here are the questions. Then people will believe you more easily. Oh, okay, you know what you're doing. But if you say, I tested feature A, these are the 3 bugs that I found, out of that the last bug I'm not even sure if it's a bug or not, then they'll say, you better execute test cases. You're good to be a robo. Right? This is done when there are no requirements. Implicit, explicit requirements sometimes get translated into requirement documents. Use them as a guide, but don't use them as a rule book, unless in certain context where you have to prove that you followed them by the rule book. Examples of medical domain, financial domain, or any court cases. It is also called as ad hoc or monkey testing. Of course, those who don't know, they'll not just call it as ad hoc or monkey, they'll call it by the favorite animal. It's spider testing. I jump from here to there, I crawl from here to there. They'll call it, right? So let's try out. Enough of talk. You already told this is the last talk on this topic. Show us a demo. Yeah. So let's pick a product of your choice. Hopefully it's on it's available over internet or on the default application as on the Mac. And then I'm happy to demonstrate a few minutes of my thought process, which is exactly like 12 minutes. Any product that you want me to try? Go ahead. Any website? Flipkart. Okay, so flipkart.com. Now the usual way is jump on those features, click, 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 do all this stuff and then say, hey, this is not aligned, that's not aligned. First question to ask is, what do you want me to test on flipkart.com? Cross browser or like, as the mnemonic goes, capability, reliability, usability, security, scalability, performance, installability, compatibility. What do you want me to do? Whether it's working fine or not. Okay, so something like on a performance side, you want me to do that, right? Okay. Now, considering the time limit and the resource limitations, I'm happy to take this assignment offline of this talk and then charge you for that as well, right? So this is how sometimes it is important to say no to certain testing tasks. It is tempting to say, yeah, I can do performance testing. No, you cannot. I'll have to come up with a script. I'll have to, at least see how it behaves first, right? So use it. Use the product. And one thing, I'm not sure how many of you noticed that all of this is being recorded, not on that camera, but on this laptop. Did you notice that I switched on the recording? So that's how I approach any place. If I have the option of recording, go ahead and record, which at least 80% of the people don't do. I do understand, and I do remember Ramit's dialogue long back, when in certain contexts you are not allowed to record. Yes, except for those contexts, why are you not recording? Unless it interferes with your testing. So usability, now I do remember there was one add-on somewhere here which had the entire usability checklist somewhere. You see it in as an extensions, then say usability. Do you see that? No. UX. No. So there was a UX check. Is this the one? Check my links. Just check. So let's see how this. So for a usability test, let's use the Jacob Nielsen's heuristics of usability, and then, so right now it's here, so I'll just pin it. Now what this tool does is, you can click on it and then it opens a pane. Let's give it some time. Reload the site, then hope it works now. Yes. So it tells me, this is like the checklist. Hey, does it validate user control and freedom? If yes, that might be a probable issue that I want to highlight, right? So, for example, I can say this area, right? Now it has paused, and or I can say as per which heuristic it is an error, and then it would spit out a report once I save. So this way we could use different tools. So people say, oh, exploratory testing means no automation, no tools. No, that's another myth. For test data generation, for continuous monitoring, for comparison, all of that you can use automation. There's no one stopping. See, the end goal of all this is testing. What is testing? Find out more about the product, more about the quality of the product. And if anything and everything that helps you, feel free to go ahead and use it. So we don't say you don't need to use automation, you don't need to have test cases, nothing of that sort, right? So being aware of which tools to use is also one important skill to have. And then to negotiation, asking questions, and then finally say using, let's try this. You could have a simple notepad opened and then write things like, there's more of the metadata in terms of like who is the tester, when, all of that, like tester name, date, mission, what is the charter, why are you testing, all of that. Then you can have your questions, notes, bugs, test ideas. Okay, and here you can say, okay, started with negotiating the mission, right? And if you find a bug, mention it here, add screenshots if necessary, right? All of that, and then finally you could export this as a report with the recording as well. So this way you are able to tell the complete story of what you did for the last X minutes. Because many people are not able to do that, people lose trust on exploratory testing. At least here I know that you will get these 8 test cases executed, but with exploratory testing I don't know. You keep banging the keys or whatever, but I don't understand what you are doing, but that problem you can easily replace with a simple notepad with these headlines, right? So I'll stop now and we'll take questions for 5 minutes. Yes.
At what cases you won't record your testing?
If what cases I don't record my testing, if I'm not allowed to. First one, if the testing recording software is interfering with the product that I'm using, then so yeah, maybe those cases.
So what do those recordings? So when we are recording, right, it will keep like take space. What is the motto like? If some issues coming, then we can refer that.
Yeah, if what is the use of recording? Yeah, there are so many issues that don't happen again, or you are not aware. Then you will spend a lot of time trying to figure out what you did.
Can I say like reproduce the work? Like we
Yeah.
are getting some issue, and when we are logging and developer saying there is no defect, then we can showcase like this is what happened during testing.
So the purpose of recording is multifold, right? One is if there is an issue that you need help with replicating it, but you have a hard time finding the exact steps, then you can play back the recording, see what you exactly did and all of that. That's one. You can use bits of it as a proof to attach with your bug reports. You can review that entire session saying, oh, okay, if she says, okay, she has tested, but I was not with her while testing, I can see the recording and say, oh, okay, you have covered these kind of tests, I can do the other tests. You can use it for your own self-reference and say, oh, maybe I keep doing the same tests. Maybe time to improve. How do you know how well are you testing? Unless there's someone to measure or like give you feedback. So that's the way. Those are the benefits of recording.
My second question is like when to do this exploration?
Okay. When to do exploratory testing? Now I'll give you an answer. There's nothing called as exploratory testing. All testing is exploratory. You're always anyways doing exploratory testing. Yeah. It's just that you are not calling it as exploratory testing. So you're always, whenever you're testing, you're doing exploratory testing. And hence, all testing is exploratory in nature.
Does anyone have any question?
I have one. My query is a bit simple. Like I 100% agree with your point. Like hello. So my question is very simple. Like I 100% agree with your point. Like exploratory testing itself a part of a testing, or you can say that it is a testing. But from the perception of a beginner, documentation plays a very vital role. If documentation is not there at that moment in time, a kind of a testing as a beginner who performs, who is basically from a known tech background, at that moment in time, exploratory testing act as a boom or curse for that particular thing.
See, the way we take that new or like the non-tech person into the project matters more than whether they can understand or not. You give the product and say, whatever you have a question on, like if you have a question, ask me. Whatever troubles you, ask me. Whatever you understand, document. So this should be that first exercise rather than giving them the test cases document. By giving the test cases document, we are removing how a customer might use. Customer also doesn't have test cases. Customer directly uses the product. So whatever they are attracted to, whatever they don't like, that you have a chance now to find out from a new person, which you are removing by saying, no, 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 don't give me the useful info. Give me the info that I already know 100 times. Give me the 101st time. Run these test cases. Right? So that way you are blocking, and then you say, that person is not productive. Maybe we should fire. Whose fault? Your fault. Give the freedom to ask questions and have the maturity to answer those. Some questions you might not know, which is okay. Accept that and help each other to find out those answers.
I have one more question related to the questioning part, because I believe that questioning is also an art, because from the perception of a tester, questioning is act as a brahmastra for you. I personally believe from my experience and perception. My question is like, for example, as a person, for example, consider a situation where a person whose name is John and he's currently tested websites from last 3 years, and now he's moving to that particular industry where he don't have to test the website part. Now he is responsible for taking care of the app or cloud-based projects. At that moment in time, in market there is as such no powerful tools are there, or techniques are there, or blogs, lack of blogs are there. Not good awareness is there. At that moment in time, what is the role of exploratory testing according to your perception?
In most of the vehicles, we have the headlights. What do? Do they steer the vehicle left, right? No, they show light. That's the role of a software tester. Hey, this part of the product, I have no clue. Can you help me? This part of the product, I am sure no one will like it. This part of the product, I think I know, but it will help if I get an expert. Be the headlights of the project. You know what? That team is really struggling. I don't know why. Highlight and come out. Yeah, so that's the role of a tester. Yes, Rolf. Yes.
Being a team member that was hired to execute test cases, how would you educate your team lead to understand the value of explorative testing? I find it difficult for, suppose my role is the hired person to execute 100 test cases, and now I have to not obey. And how do I handle this? What would be your help on that?
Right. So I'm a living example of that. And your question took me back 15 years, where I had been given test cases, and I had to execute that. And after 2 rounds of execution, I said these are useless, because it said upload a file. Everyone was uploading a 45 KB file. I uploaded a 5 GB file. And after 3 hours also, I don't see any result. And Friday they are asking me, hey, what did you do? Where are the results? My execution percentage was 30%, where everyone else was showing 95 and 98% execution. So then I copy pasted the results from my next cubicle team member. Saturday, Sunday I went and tested, because I knew I had made a mistake. I tested. And then to prove that exploratory testing adds value and all of that, what I did was 9 to 6 p.m., it's the office hours, I did the test cases. I executed for 5 days. But after 6 to 8:30 in the evening, I did what I wanted to do. I found more bugs. The first week, I found like close to, like on a Friday evening, I found close to like 40 bugs. I told the development team that, hey, you know what, 40 bugs are there. They said, you have found bugs from Monday till Friday, and then you are highlighting it on Friday. Don't do that. I said, no. Okay. The next week, again I found 50 bugs. They said, something is wrong. I said, no, nothing is wrong. Everything is, in fact, now perfect that I'm finding more bugs. The third week, again I found 50 bugs. They said, the whole team called me into a meeting room and then said, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing everything other than the test cases. I said, who told you that? I said, I attended a workshop on exploratory testing and now I'm applying that. but your test cases shows pass. I said, yeah, those test cases are passing, but these bugs which if you convert to test cases are failing. They said, from now on, you will not touch the test cases. You do what you want from 9 to 6 and not 6 to 8:30. I said, thank you very much. So from that time, I've never, maybe after that only twice or thrice I've written test cases, and the latest instance was my team found 30 plus bugs, gave it to the client asked, where are the test cases? We said, no, we don't have test cases. They said, no, we want test cases. Then I said, okay team, let's get into a meeting room. Here are the bugs, write down the test cases now and give it to them, right? So, yeah, and people will appreciate when you show them value, they'll not care how you got there. Yes, please.
Thank you. So being a manager or being a kind of management, if I'm interested to know more about what are my matrices, how are we progressing, so I totally agree with the concept of exploratory. But the point here is, if I quickly want to have some status update, maybe at the end of the week, how would I justify to someone that where is my team progressing, where they are heading to, what percentage completion has been done? So is there any kind of matrix evaluation with help of these recordings, or is there an alternative to that?
Sure, good question. Let me, not this. So I'll take a very small example, right? Let's take a very simple calculator with addition, subtraction, multiplication and division as features, okay? Now we'll list out these features. First we list out the features, we understand the product and all of that, and then we say, hey, this looks like, and we say 60 minutes to 90 minutes is one session, okay? And we can say this is like a medium session. Anything above 90 is a large and anything less than 60 is a small. We say, hey, testing for addition is easy, we'll put it as a small. Testing for multiplication looks medium, and division is little large, and this is also small, right? How do we arrive at these is for like first 30 minutes or one day, we use the product. We understand how difficult it is to test. We understand how easy it is to test and all of that. Based on that, we say, okay, this looks like a small, this looks a little complicated because division is subtraction and all of that. So we say this is large, okay? Then we say, how many testers do we have? 2 testers, and every day they have 8 hours, or like maybe 4 hours, okay? 4 hours per tester. And in 4 hours, how many sessions can we do? We can do either these 2 and plus this, or just this. So something like that we divide, and then we give the progress report saying, total we need 48 hours, till now we have covered 24 hours. So we are maybe halfway. And then we add few more sessions for bug reporting, bug investigation, meetings, and then that's how we report progress and how much more time we need. Yes, because all the features are listed, so you can say for this addition feature, have you done a smoke level test? Have you done like a medium level test? Or have you done a deep level test? So with all of this, you can have a table, right? You can have a table saying, yes, we have covered everything, or we have not covered everything, right? Yeah. So you can, we can discuss more. I can show you examples from other projects and things like that where, see, when do people ask all of this? When they have a lot of time. In most of my projects, I ensure that they don't have so much time to discuss about this because they are busy fixing those bugs. I'll say, I'll give you one example. When Monday I got the project, until Wednesday I am playing with the product. No bugs logged, I'm still playing, what is this, what is that, all of that. The dev manager came and said, hey, I think we should cancel the Friday bug scrub meeting because we don't have any bugs. I said, okay. It was like 4:30 in the evening and 6 o'clock was the cab. And I was not married, so I used to just work. So what happened was after 6 o'clock till the next morning 4 o'clock, I reported close to 84 issues. And then the next day when the developers came, they usually have the filters open of that project, what are those issues. They said there is some bug here in this because yesterday it was 0, today it's 84. They kept on refreshing, but the bugs won't disappear. They asked me, hey, what happened to you? Why did you file? I said, ask your manager. He was the one who told there were no bugs for the meeting. Then I gave some bugs. And was it possible to give all those bugs in one day? It was possible because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was learning about the product. It's like sharpening the axe before cutting the tree, right? So, yeah, so keep people busy so that they don't disturb you and you can do the testing. Sorry? Yeah, and then I realized 70%, 70 bugs of those 84 are from a different product that they are integrating and these developers need not fix. Then I learned the lesson, oh, I need to know which product to test, right? So you heard the good part and then here is the sad part where I had to say, yeah, right? And then that team where the 70 bugs were filed, they called me and said, who asked you to test this product? I said, you were also part of this big integration. I said, okay. Right, so yeah, such things happen. So I have a book called 50 plus mistakes of my testing career. So yeah, more interesting stories in that book. Okay, anything else? Slowly. Yeah, so I wrote Ultimate Productivity Toolkit with Rahul, software bug stories. Then we do conduct the happy book reading every Saturday. So from that 50 plus lessons, 50 plus mistakes of my software testing career. Yeah, so these books. We alternate between personality development and technical books. Yeah, programming, security, all of it. So what we do is we kind of summarize all of that in a mind map and we discuss that mind map in that 1 hour. So last book which we read was Modern Technical Writing. Right? So we go through this mind map summary and then we discuss and all of that. So all of that happens within 1 hour. So you join and then in 1 hour you get a book. Next weekend again you get a book. So yeah, things work out well. No, you just attend, that's enough. We summarize in like 40 minutes and next 20 minutes we discuss. Okay, thank you. Okay, so yeah, I know exploratory testing is interesting and we can keep going on and on. That's the good and bad part of it. One last question. Yes. Yes, I can hear you. Go on.
So like exploration when we are doing, we don't write any test case generally, what I've seen.
Okay.
Just we are testing the website, like just using some simple flow or some like different things, and we are finding the bugs. So when we find something like new use cases, like we don't have that below recorded in our test cases, then do we need to write new test case for that if we are finding any issues? Like,
why do we write test cases?
we write so that we can repeat the step in future.
So do you need a test case or do you need a item on the checklist? An item on the checklist is enough. That test feature C, test this scenario, test an expired account scenario. That should be enough. Spend least time on the documentation, just enough documentation. and we'll do good. So for example, let me show you an example of applying this entire approach on a product. So here do you see a write article? How much time you think we'll take to test all of this? That's it. This is the feature. How much? 5 days, 5 months, 5 years? 5 days is enough? Huh? Okay. I'll show you how many test ideas are there. So this is how I am listing out the features by using the product. Before publishing, I see a header. Just a second. Okay. So before publishing, I see a header called publishing menu, which says new article, my drafts, my articles, help. Right? You might ask, hey, why are you repeating? But unless I repeat, how will I know what is there in the product? So I'm making a note of all of this. Okay, these are all the features. After publishing, I see so many items. And then I use heuristic test strategy model to answer questions like these. Where are all the calculations happening here? Article count, comments count, like count, notifications, view stats, audience insights, font style, all of this is a calculation. Time related, published time, view stats, time since published, security related, who can view, who can comment, all of that. So when you answer all of these questions, it goes on and on and on. For write article feature. Now I'll take this checklist, put time against it, and then say done, not done, not done, how many days more to do this and all of that. If I have only 5 days, then I'll say, here are all the things I think we should do. You tell me which ones we should do within the first 5 days. So that way, I don't enforce or sign off the quality or assure quality. I take help from the product manager to ask, which one do you want me to do? A very small game. If you had to pick 3 devices from iPhone 11, a Windows device, and then an Android tab, you have to pick only one device, which one would you pick? $14 is out, so there is iPhone 11. Which one should we test on? Huh? Latest thing. I have given you 3. Tell me which one. Very simple.
I have one query. Like selection is the second thing, but it is totally depending upon the.
No, you are not a tester, man. You ask too many questions. The first benches ask too many questions. Very simple. 3 devices. Pick one. Which one we should test first on? No, the last bench also is questioning. No. First and last bench, ignore. Very simple question. 3 devices, pick one to test.
So, customer which device are using the most? That device I think.
So they use the tab. We'll go with that. But what if most of the fixes now are on iPhone 11? But what if most of the sales happen on Windows? So without knowing the answers, we cannot pick. In conferences, we answer like this, but in office, we pick. Right? So that's the mindset that we need to change. Okay. Thank you very much. Hope it was okay. And there are more discussions. I'm available on LinkedIn, all of that, Ajay184F. And yeah, hope.